Welcome to China University. This is Chimsy, your student advisor. In this podcast, I will not only talk about the many professional, academic, and personal growth opportunities this country has to offer, but also I'll mention some of the major obstacles foreign students encounter while living in China. I'll share my experience, thoughts, and opinions along with some honest advice and genuine encouragement. Welcome to the third episode. Today I'm going to talk about being broke in China. But before I start, I want to announce that you can now listen to full episodes not only on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcast, in where, by the way, you can find me as China University Student Advisor. But you can also find me on Facebook and Instagram as China University Podcast. So anyway, being broke, lacking money, financial struggle. What is it that I'm going to talk about today? Well, even though running out of money is a very human thing to do, it hits a bit different when you're in college, and it hits a bit different when you're away from home, and it certainly hits a bit different when you're in China, and needless to say, it hits a bit different if you're a self-sponsored or scholarship student. And if you think about it, there's so many reasons why you could go broke in China as a foreigner. Plus, if you live in a big city, it's not hard to imagine why would someone be struggling with money. Besides, of course, overspending. There are so many ways to go broke. Just try to remember all the reasons why you or your friends have run out of money in China. Think of emergency medical treatments or surgery, severe traffic violations or accidents, phone or laptop repairs, failed money transfers, scams, lending money to people who don't pay you back on time, and the list goes on. So if you're like most people, you fully depend on a scholarship stipend, your parents' money, or your job salary, or your company's profits to survive. So it's a matter of time before you run out of money. Now, I'm not here to give you detailed financial advice. I don't think it's my place to tell you how to manage your own money. And besides that, there's no one-size-fits-all type of approach when it comes to budgeting. But what I can tell you is about the many scenarios that will lead you to become penniless in China. So you can come up with some preventive measures and action plans to diminish the effects of financial difficulties. But first, let me mention the most obvious reason why we might struggle with money, and that is overspending. We've all been there. And I think the reason why we overspend is because we see our entire monthly stipend or salary as our full income, when in reality our full income equals to the amount of money that you're left with after you pay all your bills and deduct all personal and food expenses. And without doubt, we humans tend to overestimate our purchasing power, and it's really easy to stop looking at your bank account when you live in a cashless society and you only use Alipay or WeChat to pay for stuff. So a good reality check would be to figure out your cost of living and know where you're standing in terms of your financial status and understand your money spending habits. The second reason why you might run out of money in China is less obvious, and that is unexpected expenses. I think that it goes without saying that you need to have an emergency fund, but for that you need to save money, and depending on what your monthly budget is, saving money might be extremely difficult, if not impossible. But unexpected expenses can really put you in a tough place. For example, if you're a student, chances are that you have the same insurance company as every other international student. And I hate to say this, but the insurance kind of sucks. And I know you get what you pay for, but to be honest, there's no other option other than buying a complimentary insurance with a different company. But I'm almost sure that many, if not most of the students would be willing to pay double the price to the same company for better coverage and reimbursement policies. But okay, enough with my rant. Another unexpected expense would be cell phone and computer repairs. Do you remember how during the first decade of the 21st century, you would forget your phone at home, but you would still manage to have a normal day at school or at work? Well, things have changed a lot since then, especially in China, where if you don't have a phone, you literally don't exist. And this was especially the case during and after the pandemic with all the QR codes we had to use. Yes, we're talking about the three masks, the three big data mamas, 健康码、新城码、核酸码. But yeah, The thing is that even though phone and laptop repairs are relatively cheap in China, at one point you'll have to discard your device and get a new one. I'll never forget the phone I brought to China when I first arrived. People don't believe me when I say that my phone screen would refuse to turn on if the weather was too cold. When it was time to purchase things at stores or pay for a taxi or a restaurant bill, I would have to rub the phone screen against my body to heat it up. But sometimes even that would not be enough to make it work, so I often had to hold a lighter, yes, a lighter, and slowly hover my phone screen over the flame. Yes, all this while people were waiting in line and the cashier at the convenience store kept staring me straight in the eye for the full 5 seconds that it took for my phone screen to warm up and work. And did I mention that I took my phone to the repair shop for at least 6 times because there was always something wrong with it? Last time when I was on my way to the repair shop for the 7th time that year, because it was so humid during summer that my phone got some sort of fungus or alien parasite that was blocking my camera lens. But anyway, right before stepping into the store, I reached out for my phone in my pocket and I stared at it for a few seconds. And it looked as if it was telling me, seriously? Another repair? Just let me die, man. And I granted his wish. Now, the reason why I brought this up is because I had to save money for almost 6 months to buy a new phone. And this was a necessary step for me to make my life more convenient and more comfortable in China. I think that most people start thinking about improving their life standards after their first year in China because there are certain annoying problems that we can put up with at first, but after a year or so, we grow tired of them and find ways to operate our lives. For instance, it's your second year in China, it's 7:50 in the morning, you rush outside just to realize that there are no public bikes to be seen, and the only ones left are those that are broken, of course. And then you realize that you will not only have to walk to class, but also you will be late for class. Naturally, one day you can't take it anymore and you buy your own bike or e-bike. And the same thing will happen to every little thing you find annoying and wish to change. You'll want to replace your room's fluorescent light bulbs for an IKEA's LED floor lamp, your laptop that sounds like it's about to take off every time you turn it on for a thinner and lighter notebook or tablet, and all those nice things that you might not be able to buy on a whim, but that you certainly need in order for you to have a positive change in your life. Now, the fourth reason people run out of money in China is related to failed or delayed money transfers, deposits, or payments. This could be the bank not processing your overseas money transfer, or if you're a worker, delayed salary payments from your employer, or a friend who borrowed money from you but is not paying you back on time, or the International Students Office depositing your scholarship's money days or even weeks after the due date. The fifth and last reason is related to overspending, but I would like to divide overspending into 2 subcategories. One is what I call CIS, constant incompatible spending. Constant because you do it once or twice a day, every day, and incompatible because this type of spending and your budget cannot coexist with each other without affecting your pocket or your health or both. So, for example, if you get a cup of Starbucks every day for 30 days, you would have spent somewhere around 900 to 1200 yuan by day 30. And that is assuming that you didn't order any food along with the coffee. Or if you decide that you're going to eat breakfast, lunch, or dinner in Wagas every day for 30 days, you'd be spending at least 2,000 yuan by the end of the month. And the same applies for things like ordering Mai, ordering drinks at a bar. And this is where I'm going to bring the other subcategory, which is spending money to show people that you have money. Not necessarily to show off, but mostly for you to show that you're just as capable as anyone else. And as you may know, some Chinese fight to pay the bill at the restaurants. And I think that sometimes the idea of you having to pay for everything gets into your head and you feel the need to demonstrate that you're no different than those big laobans or big bosses that pay for everyone's bills. Which reminds me of this guy back in my sophomore year that would go to the same bar every day and buy shots for absolutely everyone. Then he would ask the waiter to serve the drinks, and he would pretend to look away and just wait for people to come and tap his shoulder and thank him in person. Oh boy. Maybe I should have included that story in my first episode about feeling lonely in China. Anyway, so far I think I have mentioned multiple scenarios in which you could go broke in China, but now I think it's time for me to give you some honest advice. First, accept your reality. Accept your financial status and spend money accordingly. I know it's easier said than done, but I can guarantee you that this will save you lots of trouble. Don't try to impress people that add little to no value in your life. Chances are that in 1 year, they'll never remember when you bought shots for everyone at the bar. Also, try to spend money in efficient ways. Negotiate with yourself. Choose between 1 Starbucks coffee a week or 3 Family Mart coffees a week. Whatever floats your boat, but do it mindfully. Or if you're going on dates, don't go overboard to impress a person you just met. Choose a picnic, a park, a library, or just cook at home instead of having weekly or daily fancy dinners that you won't be able to afford in the long run and that will set higher and higher expectations for your partner. And if your date has a problem with you trying to be mindful about your spending habits, you might want to reevaluate your whole relationship with this person. Second, don't be afraid to ask for help. Sometimes we need the support of our friends. You need to ask friends for money. Don't be embarrassed. I'm sure most of your friends will understand why you ran out of money. They probably ran out of money too, and someone helped them before. But make sure to explain why you need the money and how you plan to spend the money. Even if it's for a date or hanging out with your friends for a night, this will give your friends a clear picture of what their money is going to be used for and how this money will help you. And please make sure to be realistic when you tell your friends the exact date that you'll be paying them back. Don't just say, I'll pay you back next week if you're going to run out of money again after paying them back. Try to negotiate and pay them back in installments if they're okay with that. Third, if on the contrary, you are the one lending money, make sure that you're lending money that you won't be needing anytime soon. Make sure that you understand why your friends need money. And when choosing the amount of money that you're going to be lending, make sure that you take your friend's ability to pay you back into consideration. Don't lend 10,000 yuan to your friend if his income is 2,000 yuan a month. Also, don't enable people to engage in unhealthy behaviors. If you know your friend has addiction problems, don't lend him money right away. If they're starving, cook for them or order some groceries for them to cook. If they need money for rent, offer them a room if you have one available, or pay for a hotel for a few days. These are just a few examples of how there's so many ways to support people other than by just giving them money. Fourth and final, plan for the things that you not only want, but also for the things that you need, especially when it comes to those material objects that will make your life more comfortable in China. But also plan for the things you don't want, such as financial difficulties caused by sudden health issues, accidents, bad investments, salary reductions, capital loss, or job loss. And for that, having an emergency fund is crucial. But obviously, we live in a complex world and where not everyone can set aside some money for emergencies. But the moment you have some extra money at the end of a month, consider putting that money in a safe box or savings account so you can slowly accumulate enough money to fall back on in case emergencies arise. Now, before I let you go, I would like to give you some genuine encouragement. If you're broke or constantly running out of money, or if you're simply afraid of running into financial problems in the future, know that your financial status doesn't define who you are. Being broke is just a sign that you lost balance because of internal or external factors. You're just struggling a little bit to get back on your feet. Even though lacking money can make you suffer, and at the same time, it will make you think about how to spend your money in a more mindful manner. Like Winston Churchill once said, when we run out of money, we have to start thinking. Let me repeat that. When we run out of money, we have to start thinking. After the COVID pandemic started, mental health became less of a taboo. Please consider seeking professional help. Alright, that's it for today. Next week, I'll talk about expectations in China, because what society, friends, and family expect from you sometimes might influence what you expect from yourself in positive or negative ways. That's why it's important to tell apart your own expectations from other people's expectations. You can find me on Instagram as chinauniversitypodcast, and where I'll keep you posted on the upcoming episodes. This was Chimsy, and I'll see you next week.